So yeah, basically, what we're doing here is to talk about, well, or to start trying to use Claude Code. This is my first time. This will be my first time using Claude Code. Dan is a Claude Code fanatic. Would you say?
Yeah, I would say so. Definitely. Yeah,
Claude Code fanatic. Yes. And tell me a bit about your background, because you're not a software engineer, right?
Yeah, not a software engineer by trade, but I guess I am the CTO of a startup now, which is weird to be a non-engineer, typical engineer. So yeah, I started off in the no-code space. I studied computer science at university, basically many years ago. Couldn't figure out how to code, and then when no code came out, like 10 years ago, I was like, oh my god, like now I've got the opportunity to like be able to like visually develop tools, obviously not to the same capacity as like many other developers could, but like I could build apps and software, and did so, and have made money doing it. And then when AI started happening, I was like, oh my god, this is going to change everything. So I just stopped doing no code stuff, and basically just like the no code was dead, like, and being able to talk to AI in order for it to be able to build software is the kind of the dream, or was the dream. And it was a bit janky and has been janky for a while, but Claude Code got released, and that was also janky because the models that were being used. So Claude Code is by Anthropic, and Anthropic make probably the best coding models in the world. And they recently released a model called Opus 4.5, and Sonnet as well, a new version of Sonnet, and they are incredible. And basically Claude Code is a tool that it typically works in a terminal, but now there are lots of interfaces of being able to work with it, and it basically allows you to do anything. Code is just one of the things, but just anything. And yeah, I'm going to show you roughly kind of like how I use it.
Okay, that sounds good. So I'll give a little bit of background for like why we're doing this, because like basically, I was using ChatGPT and Copilot at work or at home. Basically, I don't want to pay much money. This is one thing, right? I'm a cheapskate, and also because I can do coding, I'll bitterly do it myself manually rather than paying a lot of money. But that's why I wanted to try this out and see what it's like without paying for it, but also just to get an idea of the kind of the workflow and see how it goes. So I'd say I kind of definitely found usefulness in AI tools. I'm not like a total denier. Like some people are very threatened by it, and I kind of, part of it, I've thought about it a lot. It's like it is changing things, whether you like it or not. And philosophically, I think like I kind of like the process of programming, but then also once you get to the end, you're like, well, why, like, do you really? So I get, this isn't the first, I should probably mention this isn't the first time we did this, because we did do it before, and then we didn't record it. So this is kind of like a little bit of retrospective, but now I've seen it in action. It does then change your perspective of like what should you be doing, or what should you be spending your time on. So what we're going to try and do for this, the first thing of any of my code base is to have full-on AI generated code, other than just using a chatbot as a search engine, essentially, is to try and add a new web scraper to my music app Dig. The path is fairly well trodden, so I've written 4 of the scrapers myself, with infrastructure like JSON schema for what you need to fill out. That goes into a database. That each store has its own Python file, which implements a single function, which is for scraping a page. And based on that, it takes the HTML or JSON, depending on the website, and it just kind of extracts the data and puts it into another format. So I thought that would be a simple case because there's quite a lot of structure there that we can follow on. And it's also fairly easy to verify that it has done the job that we want it to do. Yeah, if you show us a bit of the sort of the setup of what we're using and how we'll be going about doing this.
Yeah, sure. So I'm going to go to my screen. So I am using a tool called Conductor. And Conductor is a new tool that's come out that basically makes it a bit easier to use Claude Code. So rather than having to use it in your terminal, you can use it. You can use this interface to be able to interact with it. We have pulled down your code from GitHub. And
okay, you've already got that there then.
Yeah. So we have a input box like you typically have with any of these AI tools. Here you can click and choose the models. So I'll be using Opus 4.5, but you can also use your ChatGPT subscription if you have one to be able to use Codex 5.2 and GPT 5.2 as well. And yeah, and that's pretty.
You find much difference between the GPT ones versus the Claude ones?
Yeah, so GPT models, especially for coding, are really good at code review. Like they are very, very like precise and particular. So so what people have found is doing code reviews with GPT 5.2 Codex, or planning with GPT 5.2, because 5.2 is clever. So you could, if you want to do planning, like really detailed planning, and then you can use a smaller, cheaper model to like power through tasks. Because if the plan is good, then generally the activities will be good, and that'll be a good way for you to manage your token use if you are using something like Opus or Sonnet or Haiku. Like you could plan with GPT 5.2 and then maybe use something like Sonnet to like power through the task.
What's the difference between Opus, Sonnet, and Haiku?
Yeah, sure. So Opus 4.5 is like their biggest, smartest, most powerful model. And the way that the tokens and the usage works with Anthropic is different to how most other tools work. So they have like a certain amount of tokens that you can use, and a token is basically like the bits of the code or the bits of the words, basically processes stuff. The more code you run through, the more tokens you use. The more it thinks, the more tokens it uses. The more you do, more tokens it uses. Depending on the plan that you're on with Anthropic and Claude, you get like a 5-hour window, and within that 5-hour window, you're allowed to use a certain amount of tokens. So you get your token usage go up. And Opus 4.5, because it's bigger and smarter, it uses a lot of those tokens. However, there's a guy called Boris who's the creator of Claude Code, and he was like, he just uses Opus 4.5 for everything because he's like, it makes less mistakes. So he's just like, I'm just going to use that.
And he's got infinite tokens, right?
But he's got infinite tokens. Exactly. Whereas if you use your GPT subscription, then you likely probably won't run out of usage because they just have more GPUs. So you can just probably just keep using it. But I really like Opus 4.5. It's a nice model to both talk to and to get it to do work for you.
Okay, and that's the one we used the other day, which did do a pretty good job of this. So I guess we'll do that. And then I was just thinking about the token usage. In a dystopian future, we could be forced to participate in strange games to win more tokens to do the work when the money supply is scarce or something, or there's some disaster happens. We could make a film about that.
Yeah, it's actually interesting because like we are in a world now where obviously lots of people have access to these models. It's still a bit expensive depending on the tools that you're using or the plan that you're on. I am on the Claude Max plan, which is 100 quid a month. But the amount of work that I can do for that means like I can just do so much stuff, and it's worth it for me. But that also means that I'm basically like paying to win. Obviously, you can still, if you're on the lower plan, you could still do some stuff too. But it means that
I guess it just would be frustrating if you run out when you're in the middle of something. You know?
It happens to me all the time.
Okay. So, and even on the max plan, you're still hitting this kind of
because I just want to do more.
Okay.
It's just an interesting one. Because I just want to do more. That I end up just like get into this place where I'm like, damn it, like I've run out of my 5 hour and I have to wait for a certain amount of time. But yeah, I'm just happy with the amount of work.
Dystopian. It's like it should, it's like those games you play on iOS, which you hit the paywall or whatever.
Yeah,
you got to wait till the next day or something.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah, they've got it down right, because I feel like it does make you want to just do more stuff, and so it is addictive, like made by King or something.
Yeah, even though we only did it the other day. Even afterwards, that I understand what you mean by the addictiveness.
Yeah,
but I didn't understand what it meant by that before we did it. Right, so it's kind of a hard thing to explain or to understand that. Yeah, there is a kind of like a buzz to it that I was like kind of thinking about it in my dreams, which I didn't want to be that way. I wanted to be a cynical denier, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So,
and I think what you were saying before is quite interesting. It's like, okay, you may like the act of coding, but ultimately, depending on your goal, if you're trying to build a business, then the limiting factor is you as the coder, because you can only code like a human.
yes.
But with these tools, you can now build so much more, that you now have that strategic or creative mind, and then you end up being, the way I like to think about it is like, you end up being like the engineering manager. So it's like, if you hired people, you'd probably have hired a bunch of developers and then told them what to do within reason as well. So you just move up that level of abstraction. But
yeah, that makes sense. Although probably more for another time, we can have a discussion about it, because making like greenfield or new code, like we're going to do now, it's quite easy to go, make me this, and it can do it more quickly than I could do it manually. But then when you have to like maintain that or fix bugs and have that iteration cycle, as you get later down the sort of the life cycle of a software, you're not really writing a lot of code at all. You're actually looking at code and trying to find problems, and it might be faster at that, at finding and helping to find things. But I suppose for now we'll just get stuck in to do a thing. So will we do it with the talking?
Yeah, sure. So I use a tool called Whisperflow, which allows me to talk to the computer. It transcribes my voice, which means that I can basically give the model much more context, and it will end up doing a better job as well. So what I'll do is I'll double tap my key, and then get Alex to ask the model to do something wonderful. And then
and before we start, I think last time we kind of like, we probably waffled a bit when we would get asking it. I think I could be quite concise now and just be like, this is what we need to do. And we'll see if we can get it to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. So,
Are we going? Okay, so I want you to look in the scrape folder of the dig project, and you'll see that there are some web scrapers that have been set up for various record stores. The objective here is to add a new one. You can look at the store and the release schema for the information that you need to fill out. And I want you to specifically look at the website dex.de, which is a German records store. I want you to take the sections techno and house and the views, news and charts, and put that into the store schema, and then create a scrape page function in Python to extract the information from the website.
Cool. So with my
DexDE is actually incorrect. It's with
exactly. I was just about to say, so sometimes it with the voice to text tool, it might not know certain words, so it's always important.
That makes sense.
So DCKS,
just as in dex.de.
And
I probably should mention, like, when I did these ones, the last one I did was Phonica Records. It probably took me the space of a week to get it finished from start to finish, but I was only working on it like maybe an hour or so after work each day. So I was doing it a little bit. It wasn't intensive work, but I feel like there's also that, like, if you spend an hour, you might not make that much progress the first time. Then the second day you kind of make a bit more headway. But like, I only have the capacity to do a certain amount of time or a certain amount of effort. Like as soon as you hit a certain milestone, you're like, I'm done for the day. Tomorrow I'll come back and do all these other bits, you know. So I guess with this, it's like it does it more exhaustively, or will attempt to, in one shot.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. So what we'll do is we'll go into plan mode, and plan mode will get it to think a bit more deeply and look around the code base and come up with a comprehensive plan. I generally spend more time planning than I do like trying to get it to code stuff, because again, if you plan more, then you just get better results.
Right. So okay. And that helps it to reinforce itself, does it?
Yeah, basically, yeah, exactly. So rather than just trying to one-shot things, if it comes up with a plan, it will like look around. It will try and understand what it is that it's meant to be doing. It will sometimes like change its mind about something as well, which is quite interesting. And then it will come up with a plan, which you can then see. So again, rather than you just let it go off and code, you can look at the plan and be like, oh, actually the plan's a bit off here, or this doesn't make sense, or why are you doing that? So again, it allows you to basically like have that human in the loop where you might not be with a plan. You might want it to do something else. Or
give you some output step by step, so you can kind of check it a little bit more on the way, like tests or things like that.
Yeah, precisely. Excellent. So the way that the models work is that they have different modes. So I've put thinking on. So thinking is basically where it uses more tokens to reason within itself in order to give a much more comprehensive answer. And then it has it can also spawn agents. So Claude Code can spawn agents, which will then do different things. So it spawned an explore agent for it to go around and look around the code base, so it has more context. So context is like the most important thing. There's this whole idea now of like, rather than prompt engineering, it's basically context engineering, giving things that model the right information at the right time for it to make the right decision. And then it has then gone on and browsed the internet as well, or browsed the page, and thought some more.
This is interesting, because this website actually was a bit weird in that, like, when you click on the different pages, it doesn't change the URL of the site. It's like it's all kind of like hidden. So I wondered if it would and it figured it out, which is quite amazing. Just kind of like by trying things, and so it'd be interesting to see if it can do it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time, actually, I spent doing this is parsing and looking at the source of the HTML of a website, like in a browser, in developer mode. And I would be like piecing through that, taking whole HTML files, searching for strings and things inside it. Kind of like this is reverse engineering, but it seems to really know, like, quite good at reverse engineering stuff, because it could it doesn't go, oh, I can't find that page, I'm stuck. It it finds these different alternatives.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah. So that's where like the reasoning, it's like, okay, I can't do this, I'm going to try and do this. So that's given us some questions. So it says Dex.E has multiple chart types: buzz, sales, and pre-sale. Which chart types would you like to scrape? So you can either choose 1, 2, 3, or 4, or we can give it some more context by writing something else.
Yeah, I would say both buzz and sales charts, as well as the latest releases. So I don't know if it's noticed that.
Yeah, sure. So I'm going to let you record.
So I would like both the buzz and the sales charts, but also the latest releases of anything new that's been coming into the store, if that's available.
Cool.
Because they call it news, just news is an S. So
we'll see if we can figure that out as well.
But like I say, I think the thing that's rendered on the screen versus what's actually in the code base is different. It's like it says news, but I don't know about the buzz charts, for example.
Yeah,
I hadn't seen them.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess one of the things that you could have done as well is also ask it, like, and mention that as well, that sometimes it's called something differently in the code than it is in the. But yeah, one of the interesting things is the fact that it also asks you these questions. So like you're steering it as you're working with it. You're steering.
I didn't expect that. So what it came up with last time, the question was very interesting, and I don't know if it might find it today.
Mm,
But what happened was I said to scrape the HTML, and it
mm,
was like, oh, I could find out a way I can access the JSON. Do you want me
mm,
to use that instead? And
mm,
that's like a very interesting discovery because it changes the kind of the approach to what you're
mm,
doing. And then the
mm,
decision we made there was we want to make as few HTTP requests as
mm,
possible, and the
mm,
HTML version was better.
mm.
So it was interesting that it picked up that point because some
Yeah.
of the others, it noticed in the other code because some of the scrapers get fetch a JSON, some
Mm,
don't, some get it for some stuff and not others. So maybe
mm.
it'll be like, I know you've done this
Yeah.
before,
Yeah.
or maybe it just knew on its own.
Yeah.
But that
So
we'll
yeah.
never know.
Yeah. So, for example, it may have used the explore agent to look through your scrapers to then get the pattern. So, and then reason over the pattern and be like, okay, well, sometimes you've done this, sometimes you've done that. But then I guess when it goes to do it, it might find out some other things. So hopefully it will ask us some more questions if it comes up into any troubles. But as you can see here, like it's just basically powering through for like 5 minutes, 6 minutes. And yeah, that's
So it was still doing other stuff without the
yes,
decision. It's not like a
yes.
blocking thing.
So that might have been blocking, but yeah. So I'm not sure because sometimes it might have been looking at your code. I don't think the code base is that big. So
no,
but
my code base is fairly small.
yeah.
So which is I don't know, something that probably plays well for it.
Mm.
But also it's just because I'm lazy. Try and do the most stuff on the least amount of effort, you know.
Awesome. So
Okay, so let's see how it's done.
yeah, so I just want to say one of the things that is a feature of Claude Code is that you can get it to like do output in different formats. So I get mine to output the insights, any insights that it finds, because then it lets me like learn things as well as it's building stuff. So it basically found some insights about your code base as well.
Yeah, very
But
good thing because yeah, it's modular kind of implementation with the scrape page and yeah, trying to isolate the store specific, you know, because it is a little bit hacky, you know, you just got to find the bits of info you need, but then trying to make the higher level stuff more like metadata driven, you know, so you can just plug it in. Then the plan would be add a new store. What do we do? Add the new sections, new releases, buzz chart, sales chart. We discussed that. It found the URLs, even though they were hidden, which is interesting. Page parameter. Yes, we have a page parameter. So let's see. It's going to add the entry to the stores, which is, yeah, okay. So it does 10 pages of new releases, one of buzz chart, one of sales chart. 10 on. Interesting. See the sections. It's called 10 and hon, which is that doesn't look correct, but it might be, you know, based on the parameterization. But I think it looks in general, it looks kind of correct. Yeah. So yeah, that would be the first thing. Add the new store for Dex. Then we add dex.py, and it needs to find this information. Yep, all looks pretty good. Small, medium, large artwork files. Yep, that's looking all good. And then yeah, we'll do a local scrape, 1 page. Yeah, we should probably. One thing that didn't happen last time in the code review. Actually, when I ran it myself, there was it was a bug that was already there that reared its head just because of the new data that had been added, which it wasn't the mistake of Claude. It was just kind of like we didn't get it to do enough tests, if that makes sense. And it's just a weird thing about the ordering of the sections. They just basically manifested this bug that was always there, but none of the other stores triggered it. So it was a bit of a weird one, right? It's not his fault. It's my fault. Or it's no one's fault. It was just like a weird thing that the logic had never gone that way before. But what we didn't do, we only did like a couple of tests and we're like, do this thing and finish it up. So I think for this one looks pretty good in that. Yeah, we should
let it go.
Let it go.
Approve. Yeah, cool. Approve.
And yeah, I did merge to main the last one, which was adding hard wax, and that was then the same night. The scraper ran in the morning because it runs at midnight or like after midnight, and then I had it in the app. And I just did a few things today, like the image. It was actually the images were probably not in the correct order, so like the lower res one was being selected, but that's also an artifact of the stores. They're not consistent on the ordering anyway, so it's understanding that it would have got confused, you know, it just because some of them only have one image and but it puts 3 of them in, so it's like there's always 3 images, big, medium and large, little, small, medium, large. But in some stores, if they have fewer, it just fills the array just so like you can you always have 3. It's not a very good convention really, because it's just again being lazy.
But I guess like little things like that you could just tell Claude.
Yeah, this is the thing where I suppose it's like the scraper, it did a good job. This is a sort of a menial job that I didn't want to do, that people had asked me for hard wax and decks. And now if I've got both of them, obviously I could add more sections to the store if I need to, you know, myself, just because it's metadata then. So I can, you know, get a couple of them in, make that a bit more full featured over time, but it's like not much effort. And then I suppose it'd be interesting to see about what tasks like I don't want to do on the app side, you know, where there's a bit more like, you know, how are you going to test that the thing you've done, Claude, like that it runs on the device and it renders the thing in the right place and all of that, like hooking it into simulators or devices. That one's, I guess, I'm sort of like, I thought this one would go smoothly and be quite easy. We'll see how it gets on with desks. But I think once it gets into like more of an app dev thing, I can see it's more like, you're not necessarily bound by the code there. I think you're bound by the iteration cycle. And this is what I spend a lot of my time doing at work and in my career. A lot of the time, you're like, make a small change, run it on the thing, test it, and then that iteration, and like, it can't make that any faster because the constraint is like, you know, the time it takes for it to boot, which is painful. iOS, they made it work. They made it so bad. Do you know, like the iOS now, even if you're plugged in by a wired connection, it still does stuff over the network.
Oh,
like
really?
Debugging or so it's like, it used to be rapid, like the app would boot immediately, and now it's like, you know, you've got 5 seconds of it enforced iOS like debugging overhead, right? That you can't get around, like, you know, because you don't have the code for that, you can't improve it. Maybe it could help you find some better strategies. But
that's what I'm thinking. So like you could just like, well, so one of the things that we could do is, while this is working, open up another chat and basically like have that conversation. So that's how that whole thing of just like, you end up being more productive in some capacities, because like whilst this is working, you could then maybe explore a different idea, a different challenge that you might be having, and you end up having like multiple chat windows when you're working on multiple.
Do you not find that quite confusing though, like to have a lot of to be doing multitasking?
So I'm getting used to it. I thought when I first started, I couldn't deal with it.
Okay, so it's a thing you can get used to then.
Because it's basically like being in Slack, right? It's like you're in a Slack channel, people are asking you a bunch of stuff, like and then you respond, but like rather than the Slack's messages coming from a human, it's a Slack message coming from a AI that's saying that, oh, it's asking you a question, or it's asking you
yeah.
And then and like people have been using WhatsApp and messaging tools for ages. So yeah, you
yeah,
just
it makes
end
sense because I've had a team of engineers before, and I've said go away and do this, and like part of it's the planning. Like we would discuss the problem space, we would look at the code together, we would kind of do a plan, and then I would leave them to go away and do it. So I am kind of used to it. I suppose I don't know why I'm like maybe like I still like doing menial coding.
Yeah, I mean, and
manually.
I guess you still can.
Yeah, you still pick things up, or I don't know. You feel like you definitely get rusty. Things like I feel like. So recently, I was just working on some animation stuff, and it's quite a bit of maths. And I always feel like I get rusty at maths if I've not been doing it for a while. And I feel like if I was just like always saying like, generate me this, my math skill would atrophy. And then I wouldn't be able to be as effective of instructing an agent or an LLM to help me,
Exactly. And I think that's the thing, like what many people don't realize is that people with experience or people with certain ways of thinking or certain ways of doing things do have the magic words to get the models to behave in better ways. So like you'll be better at Claude code than I will because you actually know how to code. So you have some you will have some ways of thinking that I just don't have. So like I could probably get there eventually, and I could probably just ask it to ask me a whole bunch of questions and then figure out some stuff, and then I'll get it itself. But you might just be like, hey, can you just do this? Or like when you see a plan,
I think even from like LLM, sometimes you'll be like, how do I do this? And I know immediately it's too high level. I'm like, I don't want you to do it like this. I know that you can do it this way and it's much simpler or quicker, or it uses some particular thing that I know I want, so I suppose it's the same as that. You'll know the granularity. But yeah, so we have a look at how it's So yeah, it didn't use the HTML parser because I had some, part of doing this in the first place, I was just making these little sort of parsing functions and doing it myself as like a little, it's almost like doing a Sudoku or something, like get the HTML of a website and reverse engineer it and try and get the info you want. That's like what I kind of like doing on a Saturday morning. But now I've done like 4 of them myself. I feel like I'm happy to push this one out to get help for it. So 738 releases scraped already. Next 10 new releases. Hon, which is annoying because that is the name of the sections in the website. Well, Techno House, I don't know. Oh yeah, it's Techno TE House HO. I don't know what the N is, but yes, this all looks good. So, and this so we should. Can we get it to run it or see the output from? Because it did generate one, right? So I want it to just run a single page and a single section, like just for a small output, basically.
So I'll just get you to talk again.
Okay. Can you run the Python script just for a single section, which is techno, for one page and for one of the views, just so we can see a small output quickly?
Cool. So I could have just run the scrape on the terminal by just copying this and doing it in the terminal, but
yeah, this one it should add some extra flags to the command line for us. So on one page, show the sample release data. Okay.
Cool.
The release.
All fields captured.
So the show the sample release data, does that expand? Cat.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we have. Yeah. I mean, these look good. Is this output to a file? Because we can also basically, well, we can open these URLs. Can you click on them as URLs or put them into a browser?
Yep. I can put them into a browser.
Just so we can see that it's, genuinely found it, it is an image.
Yep. So that does look like an image.
Oh yeah, that's it. So that is an image.
Yep.
And then get one of the
let's go
audio links as well.
The track URL.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just one of those, and it should just be a link and some audio.
Yep, my browser's being weird for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, I can't see it.
Yeah, cool.
I never go in full screen on Mac OS, but on like Windows, I do. It's almost like it's not designed,
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Oh God, what is going on? Okay, let's try this again. File, new window. Cool. Perfect.
Is it playing audio?
So I can't hear.
Can you paste it in the chat?
Yeah, I'll paste it in the chat and we'll see what. So I'll go back to. Oh, I don't know if that was right. So let me give you the this link here.
So that's the link to the release itself.
Yeah, okay.
So the URL, I think that it's not playing. It's not actually playing audio. So we know that I think what it's gonna be that is gonna redirect to or should redirect to another one. So we have to tell Claude that.
Are we to let you talk?
Yeah, I'll talk. So the links that you've got for track URLs don't appear to be playing any audio. They don't seem to do anything if we visit them, but they don't give a 404 either.
Yeah, and then just send that.
Yeah, just send that, and then if we can we just scroll down this the releases that we can see on the screen? I wonder if there's. Oh, that was just a sample one. Did it put the file? There might be the local file.
Yeah, let's take a look. So
in Firebase, it got 100.
Yeah. I can maybe ask it to tell me where the file is as well.
Yeah, it's in scrape, and then it goes in a folder, a subfolder of that called dig registry.
Okay, cool. So if I go to all files,
scrape, dig registry, it has created it. There's the JSON, that one might be clickable links. Files too large to display. They are pretty big, but is there any way to?
Yeah, it might be. Yeah, let's take a look. Let's. I was thinking, what information did you want to know about the dex.json file?
No, it was. I was just wondering if it was like we only picked one example that was
Yeah.
like have audio or something, you know, and that the second one might have had.
So
So this
it's
one isn't like an editor. You can't say if you wanted to just go in there and edit the code. It's
yeah. So I haven't used this tool too much to be able to see.
manually edit.
So like I'd probably use something like Cursor or if I just was in Claude, I guess use something like Cursor or VS Code to like manually edit the code if I wanted to. There's another tool called Warp. So you're getting a lot of like IDEs that are, there's a new term which is like AGE, so like an agent development environment, where it's basically like a cross between an IDE and this kind of tool as well, where you'd be able to like edit the code. But let's take a look at this.
Well, yeah, this isn't so good in that there must be an MP3 somewhere.
Yeah, so we can just get it to explore. So
okay.
Hey there. So there must be an MP3 somewhere. Would you be able to like explore the website and figure it out? Because yeah, there must be a way. Could you really think deeply and carefully and look around and give us a few options, please, and then your recommendation. So
yeah,
again, might go into plan mode just to get you think about it.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, this is a weird one in that some of them were tricky to find the actual source thing, but it's always like an S3 bucket or something somewhere that you can just find.
Yeah, so
but yeah, I think the thing there, like the question of like, do you not want, I suppose because the app is basically a music player app, not having the MP3s is like kind of
defeats purpose.
Yeah, like it's a total, it's the, you could still collect the database, but you need to listen to the snippet. So an interesting one then. Yeah, the CDN. Because yeah, some of them, the way I found it out was like, it's like the ID name of the release with a dash, and then like I think Red Eye does like A B C D. It goes through like that, and then it's like .mp3, and then there's a CDN. It's like it's one address to their CDN, and then like the ID name track.mp3, and then it's it's doing it now, so it has found it. But I did already know, I suppose what I was saying is like Hardwax, when I looked at it, I looked at the HTML and it had all of the information that you need just in the file. When I looked at Dex, I was like, oh, it doesn't, I didn't actually look at the HTML, but the URLs, the way they worked was a bit different. So I knew it was going to be a bit more of a challenging one.
Yeah. But I guess one of the benefits of this is that like, the reason why agents and AI works well with code is because it's relatively verifiable. So like you would have been able to like be like, hey, like I can't play the music, and they could just say, I can't play the music, figure it out, and then it would have figured it out. So that's
okay. So here we go. We've got the decision about call the API for each release. This is recommended, but I've actually done this before, and I don't want to do that because per track, it just takes too long and it's too invasive in terms of like you as a scraper. So what it depends on is construct the MP3 from URLs from patterns. I think that's the way to go. But I do want to just add an extra bit of info.
Yeah, sure thing.
Okay, so I think option number 2 is probably the best one to construct the URLs from patterns. Some of the other scrapers already do this. I'm wondering, are there any like different patterns that are in use? for example, in Red Eye Records, the URLs are constructed from a pattern, and the pattern is always the same across all the releases. Whereas on Yoyaku, there were a number of different conventions at play, which was very fragile. And in the end, I took a different approach where I was able to find the MP3s in a different way. If it's a single pattern, I think that option 2 is the best.
And if it's not, could you suggest some things?
Yeah, the one with the Yoyaku one, I was able to find their JSON, and then actually made it easier because you can, I think it's for the whole page, you do one request and you have everything. And previously I had to do like, I was doing a request for each track to see if it existed, you know, and it's like, they would take all night and they would always get like terminated and stuff. They've been a lot more stable since I did quite a sweep to try and just make it more optimized, basically. When I started doing it, to be fair, I was probably just a bit of a obnoxious, being like, it's not my website.
Cool. So it's given some stuff.
Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. So it uses the CPP KE. So it's like the release name is at the end, and then the track name is like, this does seem like it's going to be fragile, but too fragile to reconstruct reliably. So audio API, let's have a look at this audio API choice. Return. Okay, so I've got more questions for it then. So for the audio API version to get the reliable MP3 URLs, do you have to make one request for all the audio MP3s or one request per MP3, one request per track?
Yeah. And then you end up just chatting to it, especially with the voice to text tools. Cool. So one request
per release. Okay, that's actually suitable, because some other sites, they have to request the page. So the release has its own page, and then it has to go to there to get like the information. So what I'll do is I'll say, I know what I want it to do now. Okay, so let's go for the audio API approach with the rate limiting. As long as you, for subsequent scrapes, we can skip checking the MP3s if we already have them. So just make sure that that is implemented like it is in other stores. Because basically mostly what happens is like a bunch of new stuff comes in, you have to get the MP3s. That's like a heavier job. But all the other releases, when you visit them, you just want to update the stock tracker, basically, and the positions in the charts. And so you don't have to make the request once you have the artwork. The problem is that you sometimes get left with like a trail of ones which never get any audio because they just don't have the snippet. And like, if you're on the website, you're like, oh, it just doesn't have it. But when you're scraping it every night, those ones are like, well, I suppose I'll check. And it's like, you know, and then you're like, well, you could put a counter of how many times have you checked for the audio, but how do you know when it's ever going to come in? You know, you don't really. So just one of those ones where like that's what the red eye one, the scraper takes the longest, and it's got like loads of just stragglers that never got even artwork. They're just like just an empty release. Like, you know, I don't know what it is. It's just text.
Yeah, I guess there are some more agentic AI scrapers out there that would allow you to be able to like do some of this stuff like in a easier way. So you're not just using your own scrapers, you're using ones that are more like semantic. So you could just be like, hey, like,
yeah, I thought this, right? But so there's definitely one thing that I think we can use it to do to help to sort out. I think the main thing I thought was like, you're having to run the inference all the time for it to do the work for you, right? So you're paying for tokens when if you can get it to generate an algorithm that you can run for free on a GitHub action, that runs every night. Like now with each store, I'm running like, well, probably should feel bad about this. I don't know, nightly. I've got like, you know, probably about 10 hours of scraping and other stuff that just run. I know they run on fairly low power machines. It's not like I'm not using heavy GPU and it is for free. But like if I was having to run an AI agent to do that, then that was gonna use more energy and cost more money, I think, even though it would do a much better job at it, because from seeing it do this and figure out the website, it would just do that and populate the database immediately. You know, it wouldn't generate the code to do that. It could just do it itself. One thing I've got trouble with is trying to find the Discog release for a record in a store. I have an algorithm that kind of does it, but like, you know, probably about a couple of % worth don't get populated. And I wonder if we can get it to help just sweep through the database once, fix up a bunch of stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like have this like one-shot thing where you could give the database a triage, say like Red Eye Records. Now, some of the track names are missing, but I have a Discog link. It could just go through and fill it all up. Like you have to write a lot of code for it to do that, you know, because you would need all these algorithms, like fix up the track names, find the Discogs links, and so on. So that, I guess that might be an interesting one to try, you know, for a future thing. So let's see how it's got.
Like you're already starting to be like, oh, I can see how this could be useful in different ways. Like, and that's I think where the power lies. Like the more you use it, the more you're like, oh, actually, I can see where this could be useful for things that I just really can't be bothered to do. but I would still make
it's just, I think the thing with some of the scraping or the like trying to parse a soup of data, right? And you're trying to match them together. Even if you're like, you know, you're trying to match a name, but it's somehow it's slightly different because of the character they use, or they use a hyphen and they have other information at the end. And you're like, some of them, they've just literally put the data in incorrectly in the first place. You know, it's like got the wrong catalog number. And so how are you supposed to match that? Because there's no way of knowing. Whereas like the AI inference can kind of do a bit more. Where it's like, that's about right. I think it makes sense because as a human, you can look at it and go, oh, it's this one. Given a choice of 10 things which have ambiguous naming convention, like, well, I know it's that one. But making an algorithm that can know that with certainty. Because what you've got to do is you've got to be more important that you don't get a false result than finding the correct one, you know, in every case. So you've got to be conservative.
Cool. So it's got a new plan.
Okay. So this is the same thing again. But it's kind of the same, right? It did all of this before. These ones are actually actual equals 0. It's gone German because it was a German.
That was before.
Claude sounds German. Is it a German name? Claude.
It might like French as well.
Oh yeah, Claude. Yeah, maybe French. Yeah.
Cool. So.
Yeah, this is all the same as before. We're fine with that. Does it it goes to the sound. Yeah, so that is, I mean, it's incorrect in that it should be track URLs. It shouldn't be sound.
Yeah, cool.
And we shouldn't have BPM. Oh no, this is what it returns. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
This is what their website returns. New function to add, fetch the things, modify track URLs. Yes, if existing tracks, we asked for that specifically. So yeah, I think that's done it. Verification of plan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
So most of it, like now, if you do this again, though, is it?
Yeah.
How much is it building on what it previously did? Because I know it has more context, but like it already has written a bunch of code, right? And it's only a small change it has to do. But does it kind of do it all from scratch again?
No. It's using the context from the code that you've already got and the conversation as well.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, maybe I'm misremembering a scenario. Someone was telling me they were using Claude, it did something, and they said, can you just move it here? And it didn't move the code, it rewrote the code differently in the place they wanted, which is kind of a bit weird, because it's like for a human, it's like, oh, I'll copy and paste. But it didn't copy and paste, it rewrote it, and then with the rewrite, there was some differences. So it's like a little bit weird in that it's like, it's not deterministic, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's necessarily about determinism, but it's like, oh, I'm just going to do the thing, and I need to do all of this stuff.
Yeah,
and it's not like, I don't know. But
also, like, so depending on like the how far you are into your token context window, it starts to go a bit rogue. So I suggest. So that's why it might do that. So like if it was earlier, so Claude has a context window of 200,000 tokens, which is basically like its working memory at about up to about 50-60%. Like it's still like pretty good. After 70%, or after 50%, it just starts degrading in quality. So typically what people do is when it reaches like 50-60%, then they'll just start a new conversation, and then it just starts behaving like more optimally. So one of the things that one of the reasons why it may have just done something rogue like that is because if it had less of its context window field, it might just be like, I'm going to be smart about it. But if it's trying to hold all of this stuff in, then it might have just started getting a bit loopy. So which is why.
So shall we do this and get it to go and see that? Because ideally it will work, and then we can get it to make a PR into my repo, and then I can analyze it from there, because I feel like it's pretty close. It had all the data except for the audio, right?
Yeah. So I'm just going to approve this plan, because I think it will.
And I mean, it didn't take long to do it in the first place, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, precisely.
Because it's not that much code. So okay. So it's added that insight.
Yeah.
This one was definitely a bit more tricky than last time, right? Last time was a smooth, it kind of did it first time. This one had a little bit more back and forth, but I suppose it's good to see that aspect of it as well.
Yeah, exactly. And
I definitely can you get? I imagine you can get in a horrible like loop though, where you're stuck, because you can even get it with like just a chat, like you're trying to figure something out, and it'll basically tell you something that's wrong, and then you're like, this isn't there, and then it's like, oh, do this, and you're like, well, that's not there. Like, what? You're lying to me now.
Yeah, exactly.
Imagine when it's like just generated a load of code, you're like, that's wrong, do it again, and then you could get to a point where you're like, I don't know how to get out of this now. You know.
So my general trick with that is, I think I mentioned it before, which was, if I'm getting it to do something, I will get it to give me like a number of different high level strategies, because then because it's non-deterministic, you'll get variance in them, which then gets it to basically like check its work before it starts getting into like the nitty gritty. The plan mode also really helps as well. So like plan mode will typically stop things from like going too rogue, because it would have like thought about things. And then if it's getting caught up in the loop, I would basically just like start again, because like the cost of you trying to like grind through a problem.
Yes, exactly. That's the thing. It's like, well, you're stuck in a loop.
Yeah.
You need to get out of it and start again, because you've got yourself into a dead end almost.
Yeah, exactly. And then you could also now you have the knowledge, even in that conversation where it got itself into a dead end. What I typically do is say, hey, like, this isn't working. Could you write like a markdown file of all the things that you tried and the issues that we came across, because I'm going to use that as context in the next chat so that you don't go down this mistake again. And then it's like, oh yeah, sorry, I apologize. It'll create this markdown file, and now you have this good bit of context of stuff that it shouldn't do, that you could then use in your new conversation as well.
Yeah, you condense the context yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
to help you accelerate the next one
exactly.
in a better way. That makes sense.
Mm.
How many times do you have to do that? Do you think starting again often or less often, or does it?
Oh,
not
less
really
often as the models have got better, less often. I also get it to like test its work as it's working. So it will just usually just like find things as it's working its way through. So self-correct. So I find that I have to like do something completely new, because it's got itself into like a loop, like much less than I used to, because the models are just getting really good. It's more around if I've got myself into like a place that I shouldn't have gone to, like I'll be like, ooh, let me try this thing, and then I'm just like, I try a thing on a branch or like an idea, and I'm like, oh yeah, that was a garbage idea, and then I've just been like, oh, I've just wasted a whole bunch of time. So it feels less like it gets itself into a loop, especially as I do a lot of planning. So it'll usually like find the issues in the plan, and get it to ask me questions as well, to stop it from like going into a weird place.
Okay, well, so it says that it has completed 83 out of 100 have the audio. I think probably this is enough for today because I want to make dinner. But if we could get it to make a pull request into the upstream dig repo, then I'll look at the code, test it, and see how it's done, and then we can follow up on that. Yeah,
I'm gonna just let you do the last bit.
Okay, so can you make a pull request into Polymonster dig on GitHub, which is this repository should be a fork of. So if you can make a pull request into the upstream repo, then I will review these changes and test it locally myself. And yeah, I think that's a pretty good session. If this has worked out, then I think it saw it being a bit more challenging and like some more kind of engineering, I suppose, in terms of helping steer it along, or it basically said it had finished and it hadn't correctly done exactly what we wanted. So I suppose that's always the human in the loop. It was still necessary.
Yeah, definitely. It always will be. It always will be.
Otherwise, what is it going to do? It'll just make it for itself.
Just make stuff. Like even if it's just
make everything.
Stuff, like at some point, it has to make something for humans. So actually, at some point, someone's going to be like, "Hey, like stop! Like this thing's garbage," or like go in this direction. Like it will just do stuff eventually. But like, yeah, it will. I think like it's always going to be like you as the visionary are going to be the one that's guiding it.
Yeah, I suppose so. At some point, it'd be so good that whatever you just imagine or say, it'll be a reality. Like the Matrix.
Yeah.
Yeah. But basically, we are going to be. Well, I think we'll find out we are living in the Matrix.
Yeah, 100%.
We're getting close. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
awesome.
probably.
So that's been done for you.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks for that, man. So this has been a cool few sessions. I think you said the next one you would send me an invite, and then we could set up some other setup of the infrastructure and the tooling, and see how we go from scratch. And maybe might be not, because I quite like using terminal command line stuff. Just kind of looking at that, or still going through. It's nice to be on a call and chat about stuff.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, I'll get this one hopefully merged, and then we'll pick a time and we can do a bit more, because I think it'd be a nice series. There's certainly some other things to explore or talk about. But yeah, let's leave it there. Have a good one, man. Nice.
Yeah, you too, man.
Thanks for doing this. Hope I didn't use all your tokens.
That's all good, man.
Cool.